Boro head to Hull City, who are now, currently, at least per game, the worst attack in the Championship. Oh, we all know where this is going, don't we? What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Project Boro preview show. And Boro kick off their 2025 by heading down to the MKM, which I think it's called. I still always just completely fall out of the loop in terms of what Hull Stadium is called this week. But Boro head there in hopes of kicking off 2025 with a victory and getting back to winning ways after 3 draws. And as I mentioned in the Burnley review, it's an interesting run of results for Boro in a different perspective. It depends how you look at it. 3 draws, unbeaten in 4. Yep, you could say, and the Burnley result is a good point, yes, but equally, as I mentioned in that very review, had Boro won the games prior against Plymouth, against Sheffield Wednesday, Burnley point would have looked even better, and instead of saying we're unbeaten in 4, Boro might well have won 3 of the last 4. We could have been a lot more solidly sat in the playoffs right now. That's the story of Boro's season, not beating or winning the games we should always win and slipping up and costing and shooting ourselves in the foot more often than not. And we've got 2 games coming up, including this one, which could be huge because as we get further into the new year, the fixtures are only going to get tougher for Boro. And what we need to start doing is giving ourselves more room for error. If we start winning games like Hull, like Cardiff, no disrespect to the pair of them, they've both just come off great results in the league, beating sides literally next to Boro in the Championship right now. Boro should be winning these games, getting ourselves much more comfortably in the top 6. So therefore, games like Burnley, like Sheffield United, like the top sides, become more of a free hit with less pressure on them, which is what the result of the Burnley game ended up being. But looking at Hull City, they're of course a new Hull City. They are now under Ruben Selles and have been for 5 games now, I believe. And they have had a slight upturn under the stewardship of Ruben Selles. They're still not exactly in a great place in the league, but looking at them and their recent form and just Ruben Selles as a coach and the job he did at Reading, I think it's a very smart appointment from Hull, if I'm honest. And I do believe he will get them comfortably safe. You know, I'm not expecting anything spectacular by Hull. I think if they can just get into mid-table and stay there, they'll settle for that. Yep, this season should have been a lot more, and it's been disappointing, but I think Selles is a smart appointment, and so far, so good, you could probably say. In general, Hull are currently 21st in the Championship, just outside the relegation zone. They might drop back in there with teams below them having games in hand, but they've won 5, drew 7, lost 12, scoring only 22 goals and conceding 32. So on the basis of it, defence isn't the worst. Their attack, though, is a huge problem. It was last time we played them. It still is now. Interestingly, and this is the upturn I was talking about under Selles, they've only won 2 of the last 15 games. That is why they ended up changing manager in the manner that they did. But the 2 wins that they have had in their last 15 have both come under Ruben Selles and have both come in their last 5. They've actually won 2 of the last 3. They won the last home game at home to Swansea and, as we know, have just gone to Blackburn and won 1-0, which isn't an easy feat in itself. So under Selles, if you want to just take out Hull's general play, you know, their general place in the league table, if you want to look at it, in his tenure thus far, in his 5 games, played 5, won 2, lost 2, drew 1, scored 5, conceded 5. It's as solid of a start as it gets, and in the form table in them 5 games, Hull are smack bang in mid-table in 13th. They're actually above Boro on current form under Selles' tenure, which is, interesting. But, he's very much just got them playing at a sort of standard, average, solid, mid-table level. And as I say, that'll get them to safety. But it still doesn't frighten me enough as a Boro fan to suggest that this will be a huge test, although they are better than where they were before. Some of the same issues still are very much there for Hull, and that is their attack. Now, they currently, on goals per game, have the worst attack in the Championship. Now, it's not the outright worst in terms of goals scored, but they're still right down there. They've got the joint worst goal scoring record with only 22 goals scored. That's 0.9 per game. They have obviously played a game more than the teams above them, who've also conceded 22, so that's why they are bottom, just because they've scored less in more games. But still, it doesn't really paint a prettier picture. They've still only scored 22 goals in the Championship. A very, very blunt attack, which has let them down massively. And you can see exactly why, because in terms of XG and expected goals, they're exactly where Ruben Selles has had them in the last 5 games. They're 13th, they're solid, they're mid-table. Again, they're not spectacular, they're not top 6, but they should certainly be scoring more goals than what they have. They're 13th with an XG across the season of 29, meaning they've underperformed by 7 goals. I don't think there'll be many teams in the league who've overperformed or underperformed, their XG as much as Hull City. It remains a huge, huge issue, and that's backed up by some other attacking numbers in the fact that they are only 17th for shots on target. They're only 15th for big chances, but they're in the top 6 for big chances missed. So quite honestly, in front of goal, they're an absolute mess, and they should be doing a hell of a lot better. However, defensively, perfectly fine, perfectly solid. Again, they're right smack bang in the middle of the Championship League table when it comes to their defence. They're currently joint 14th for goals conceded, alongside Stoke City and Queen's Park Rangers, conceding 32 goals this season. It's around 1.3 per game, and they've actually got exactly the same goals per game rate in terms of how many goals they've let in as what we do. We've also conceded 1.3 goals per game, which isn't pretty reading for a team like us who are looking to chase the top 6 and get in the top 6. They've only conceded 1 more goal than Boro, which shows in terms of defensively, there's barely anything between the two sides. There's just a massive swing in terms of the goals we've scored compared to them. So they've got a perfectly okay defence, and it's in line with their XG. They're a little bit down, but still okay. They've got the 9th highest XG against in the Championship. They've conceded 1 goal more than what they should. So still, they're pretty much right there with their numbers, and there's still some decent teams who've conceded more XG than what they have. Swansea are 1, Watford are another, Sheffield Wednesday are another. So there's not really much to worry about in terms of Hull's defence. So for me, I think that paints a pretty simple picture. It's the same picture that we saw last time we played Hull City. Perfectly fine defensively. They're not rock solid. They're not a brick wall. They're not a Burnley, but they're fine. But going forward, they let themselves down massively. Now, in terms of how they might set up, it's really, really hard to pin down what Ruben Selles is going to do. And I think that's natural in terms of his start of his tenure, first few games. He'll be playing around with his formation. He'll still be getting to know a lot of the players, a lot of their strengths, a lot of their weaknesses. It will continue to take him time to get a full grip on what his best Hull side will look like. But what I have noticed is of the 5 games that he's been manager, 2 of them, as I say, were wins, and 2 of them were using the same formation. He has switched between 4-2-3-1, 4-3-3. He has moved around home and away with the formations he's utilised, but their 2 wins have come in the form of a 4-3-3. So that might be what he opts to go with against Boro. The personnel continues to change, but the team on screen is the one that he played in their last win against Blackburn, so you wouldn't be surprised to see them maybe swap that around a little bit. The back 4 looked pretty solid, had a pretty good game that day. Cody Drameh is a good right back, as I say, and I said in the previous fixture, Regan Slater is a midfielder I've always rated. Obviously, we all know Ryan Giles, if he plays on the left, might be an attacking threat if he plays. He didn't play against Blackburn. I think he might have been an unused substitute, in fact. Was he even on the bench that day? I don't even think he was on the bench, was he? Who knows? He's not on the long list of injuries, but it is worth noting that Hull do have a long list of injuries. A bit like during our reverse fixture, a lot of their bigger players who have some pretty decent creative numbers, including Balumi and Liam Miller, they're out still with long-term injuries, and probably the player who impressed me the most when Hull come to Riverside, being Casey Palmer, he's out as well currently with an ankle injury, I believe, until February-ish. So we've got a long list of injuries. They've got a long list of injuries, and a lot of their more creative, influential players are out injured as well. So that will probably continue to show why they are slightly crippled in terms of the injuries they've got, both metaphorically and literally. But we'll see. We'll see if any of their key players can come through and can create. You know, Pedro is their top scorer still with only 4 goals, so they've not really got an out-and-out goal scorer. Abu Kamara is a promising young talent on the right-hand side. He's got a few assists at this point and could be a player that Boro needs to look out for. So, yeah, there's not too much in the whole team that particularly worries me. We've got injuries, as I say, so have they. I don't think even with our patched-up team, there's an excuse for why this Boro side shouldn't be able to beat this whole team. And that leads me on to the Boro side. Again, with all the injuries we've not got many alternative options. In goal, we know it'll be Tom Glover. He's the only fit goalkeeper we've got. We obviously were surprised to see the return of Edmondson against Burnley. So I can't see the back four changing all that much. If Ayling's fit, maybe he might start. Don't know if he'll bring in Lucas Engel ahead of Borges. I don't think he probably will at this point. Because again, the Borges-Bergzorg relationship's really, really nice. And what I've sort of looked at with Boro's left-hand side, I think there's 2 different combinations, really. Because when we play with Bergzorg and Borges, if I don't want to get the 2 mixed up and matched up together, what normally happens is Borges inverts central and Bergzorg stays out wide. However, if we were to play McGree, he'll want to come inside, which means Borges would then have to go outside, which I think exposes him. So the 2 potential left-sided combinations Boro might have is either Bergzorg and Borges or Engel and McGree, because Borges will come inside, where I think he looks more comfortable. Bergzorg can hold the width, where I think he's better, because he gets a better run at his fullback. If we play McGree, he'll be the one who comes inside. Engel's then the best left-back, I think, to pair McGree, who can hold the width, overlap, and bomb down the left-hand side. So, yeah, I think if we play one left-sided winger, we've got to play their respective best left-back. So if it's Bergzorg, it's Borges. If it's McGree, it's Engel for me. The midfield 2, I think will stay the same. I don't think there'll be any sign of Johnny Howson, and I would love to see a shock with Aidan Morris being on that bench, but I just can't see it. So Hackney and Barlasser will start. Azaz is always going to be the 10. Obviously, the only alternative is Gilbert, but I don't think he'll start. Azaz is probably the most important player in this team right now. Ben Doak, not in great form, but Carrick still seems to be playing him and starting him if fit. I'm not against that at all. Still incredibly effective, no matter how he's playing, Ben Doak. But, as I said against Burnley, if Isaiah Jones was to come in, wouldn't be against that either. And up front, once more, no alternatives. We don't know where Tommy Conway is, how long he's going to be, but you'd think that Ilath will hopefully start and bag a goal or 2. Head-to-head wise, not much to really discuss between the 2 sides. We've won a few at home, they've won a few at home. Home and away, we've both had good results against one another. Boro do edge it overall in terms of the wins versus, defeats to each other, only just. Obviously, we did get a win against them earlier in the season at home by 3-1. Last season, we drew 2-2 at their ground. The season before, we won 3-1. So we've done all right down at the MKM in recent times. So fingers crossed we can do the same again. But we mustn't forget, this is a whole side who I think have improved under Selles, won 2 in the last 3, won their last home game, and are in a far better position now than where they were before. So Boro still have to be absolutely on it in this game, but make no mistakes, we should win. Our defence, I know we love throwing games away and gifting goals to the opposition, but we kept a clean sheet against Burnley. If we can keep a clean sheet against their attackers, we should be able to keep a clean sheet against Hull City, who, as I say, are the worst attack in the Championship on goals per game as it stands. So you'd like to think, if our defence is just solid and doesn't make any mistakes, we should be able to create something and get enough from this game. So I am going to back Boro to win. I'm going 2-1. I'm not going to go too hard in terms of the scoreline, because I just have a little bit more respect for Hull under Selles, and I just have a feeling they could prove to be a really, really awkward proposition for us. So it's not going to be easy, but Boro should win it. I think we have to win it. We should win this game. We should win our next game. We have to be winning these games to give ourselves the best chance of getting right in them playoffs comfortably. None of this yo-yoing in and out of 6th, 7th, 8th, looking over our shoulder. We need to put our foot down now and consolidate a playoff place, which we really should have done already at this stage. But there's my predictions, there's my preview. As always, guys, if you've enjoyed it, do hit a like on the video, do subscribe. If you're new, if you're a Hull fan, a Boro fan, or a general Championship fan, we do all sorts of football content here on the channel. But especially if you're a Boro fan and you like what you see, I, of course, do preview and review every single Boro game here on the channel. And we are just about hanging on to the current crazy schedule that is the Championship right now. And we'll be doing so again, as I will be back to review whatever happens in this game on January the 2nd, and then we'll instantly have to turn our attention to the Cardiff game. I, of course, am also going to this game at Hull, which normally, knowing my record, as you all know, means only one thing: Boro won't win. Hopefully that will finally change on New Year's Day, and we can all start 2025 turning over a new leaf, and I can see Boro finally win away in the goddamn league. So there might be a vlog coming as well. We'll see. But until then, do take care, guys. Enjoy whatever you're doing for New Year's Eve, and I guess I'll see you all in 2025.